All right, everybody. Welcome. It's Sunday, July 27th, 2025. It is 9 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. here in Costa Rica. And I want to get this week ahead analysis out to everybody so you can take your notes and prepare and get ready for the upcoming week. All right. So looking at ES here, continue to be bullish. We've been talking about this every day, every week. Play the long side. And if you've done that, you've done well, even though the day trading conditions have been a little more challenging because there hasn't been a lot of volatility. And then at the close, you'll just get a huge move in 20 minutes. And so it's been kind of clunky and weird in that sense. Not the easiest to execute on during the day. Still making some good money. I know many of you are making good money. So if you trade from the correct side of the market, it's going to push the odds into your favor dramatically. And that's what I'm trying to hammer home here every week and every day is trade from the right side. We've got VolPro Edge, wonderful, wonderful tools here to keep us on the right side of the market. And just that alone will help your trading tremendously because it'll eliminate a lot of mistakes. I know a lot of people get tempted. Oh, well, there might be a 30-point correction here from the short side. Guys, I very rarely do that. And I have to sit and watch a lot of these little moves from the short side happen without me, even though I was pretty sure it was going to happen. Because I just say to myself, the dominant side, the side with the biggest edge is the side with the higher time period energy pushing. And right now that's to the upside, the monthly, the weekly, the daily, everything's pushing up. So you want to be very careful if you're playing the short side. Okay. I don't recommend it. Maybe if you're a scalper, then it doesn't matter as much. But if you're day trading, or certainly if you're putting on end of day trades, it's just better to play the stronger side. And right now that's the bullish side. So looking at ES right now, you can see the weekly chart just firing to the upside, right? And you have to ask ourselves here, okay, we're coming into the end of the month of July here this week. Where is this, month here going to close? I don't know. We might gun for that core DML up there just above 6,500. So on the weekly, that's right there at that core DML. They don't always match up, but this time they're matching up right there. So I wouldn't be surprised to see us try and go tag that 6,500 level, which is about 75 handles above where we are now at 6,425 on ES. So if we go back and look at some scenario analysis from about a year ago, and scenario analysis is nothing more than just looking for similar periods of time where you had similar price action and similar patterns, and you just try and get a sense of what's going to happen. So this is a scenario analysis I found for ES. Look, the weekly here is just firing to the upside, right? Kind of like what's going on right now. And then here you can see there's that push up right there, toward the end. This trend run's getting long, many weeks, right? Which is where we're at right now, many weeks. And then you get that push up like that right to that extension. And then you see how the next week it just goes straight up there, and then you get a little correction. I think this is what we're probably in this zone right here. And this upcoming week, I think, might resemble that week right there. That's scenario analysis. So if we look at ES now, you see how this is a long weekly trend run, long time, right? So I think, I would be shocked if we did this. Anything's possible. If that starts to unfold, we'll be on top of it. But I would be looking more for something like this. I mean, maybe even up there. I'm not sure. Could get like a 2-bar push like that. So maybe something like this, I think, is maybe more likely just because we haven't seen these huge moves lately with the summer volatility. There's not a lot of volume. July and August are known, the seasonality. They're kind of slow months. So that's also why I think the day trading has been a little wonky in terms of, really subdued ranges, not a lot of the volatility we're used to in NASDAQ. And you just get these strange moves that come in out of nowhere. That's the seasonality. That's the July-August effect, okay? So I would expect something like that, and that would mean that we kind of close July up like this. And then, I still think we're probably going to go higher because if you look at if you just look at this sucking up right there, yeah, you got a flash there, but look, you're above the VolPro reaction resistance level. You're above, so that turns into support, right? That's not resistance now, that's support. You've got that extension as support. You got all these broken DMLs here as support. You got the true average. I mean, You do not want to bet on a short down and through all that, right? It just doesn't, it could happen. And if it starts to happen, fine. But we would need to see all that support start to break first. And I don't expect it to break. So I would be expecting price to continue to push higher. All right. So if we look at scenario analysis for ES, we could be looking at something like this here. So you see how, this is kind of similar. I think this was COVID. There's that flush, and then there's the, reversal, just like we've seen right now with this tariff thing. And then, you start to take out those highs like we're doing, and then you get a little bit of a pullback, and then you just keep going. I mean, we could very well continue to see something like this. We'll have pullbacks at some point, but the bullish side is the side we want to stay on top of and start, continue to trade from that side. So, all right. So that's ES. That's what I expect. So looking at the daily, that flash right there, would I short that? No, I wouldn't. I would just say, hey, if it causes a pullback down here, this is where I'm going to be looking to buy intraday, anywhere down here. And if for some reason we get a daily bar that goes like that and closes there, that's just a wonderful end of day buying opportunity for something like that, right? So I'll be looking to play the long side. Don't recommend shorting that flash right there, because yeah, you've got that weekly extension here. Yeah, there's the, you got a couple of them here, but you got to look at, I mean, this monthly is powering to the upside, so you don't want to bet on these weekly extensions holding here, those resistance, right? You don't want to bet on that resistance holding when the monthly is just firing and the weekly trend run is firing and the daily now is starting to go, right? So I hope that makes sense. This is how you use the types of trading, the multiple time period analysis, the patterns, and then you learn which DMLs to bet on, right? Which ones logically make the most sense to trade against. So it's very clear, once you start to really get the hang of it. All right, let's look at NQ. It's going to be the same. I don't have to, go into all the same analysis because they're pretty similar. So, I mean, the only difference with NQ is that you've got, these core DMLs here as a resistance zone. So NQ could continue to just be more choppy. But look, I would think July is going to want to gun for those up there. So we could see a decent little week pushing to the upside. So I'll be looking to play the long side on NQ. I won't be super concerned about these two core DMLs up here. Just the only thing I'll look for with those is, hey, they might, stall our progress a little bit because they are resistance, but I don't expect them ultimately to hold, right? So I'm going to be looking to play the long side. You can see the daily here just got a little trend run to the upside going through that old trend resistance high. Here, I can draw this for you one sec. Right. And I think the drawing helps a lot. I've gotten a lot of good feedback on the drawing tools and how, seeing it visually really helps. That's why I do it for you guys. Of course, I see all this stuff in my mind because I've been doing it so long and I created it. But for those of you who are, learning through repetition every single day, I think the drawing is super helpful. So, the daily, there's your old trend resistance high right there. You see that held a couple times, and now we're starting to punch up and through that. 1, 2, 3 closes. So we would look to exit congestion to the upside on the daily. And then, yeah, maybe it'll pull back and then maybe it'll go. But, we're looking for something like that on the daily chart. Okay. And, for Monday, we'll see what Asia and London do with price. But look at all that stacked right there. Right. That's a beautiful zone right there. And that's coming in at, 23,365 right in there. All right, let's look at the Dow. Big move on the Dow expected. I mean, back when I said the Dow was going to catch up, I should have just thrown like 20 grand in the Dow and just not looked at it. I didn't do that. I'm not that kind of trader, guys. I'm working on, my system for number one, we'll do updates at the end. How about that? Okay. But in terms of this little tangent I was going to go on, I'm working on my stock system, but I like to sort of, I feel like I'm in control of what I'm trading. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I'm the kind of person where like, some people are phenomenal at having, all these different positions open and, this can do this and that. I'm not like that. I'm like, I dial into what I'm doing and I do it, and I do it very well. And I make good money doing that. But I'm working on, I got to get better. Just like Ethereum, I knew that was a massive catch up. I called it. I should just like, okay. So it's a lot to keep track of. It's like, okay, Andy, next time you really feel confident in one of these catch up trades, because they happen, right, from time to time, and they're gifts, go throw some money over there and don't look at it for a few weeks. More often than not, it'll be a good call and there'll be more money there that you put in, than you put in. So anyways, but fun to see it working, right? And we got some really good updates at the end of the video, guys, we'll go over. So looking at the Dow here, I mean, I would expect the Dow to want to continue to push. The weekly failed congestion entrance down attempt. So we failed. Now we're going after that old high right there, right? And you can see the weekly, we pretty much blasted. This is what we thought was going to happen, right? Go back and look at the week ahead analysis from last Saturday, I think it was. I put that up on YouTube. I might put this one up on YouTube as well. I didn't put the daily analysis up on YouTube because, that's for members. You guys pay for that. And, that's for you guys. So I'm just putting a little stuff out there on YouTube to give everybody a taste of what they're missing with Vol Pro Edge. So you can see here, we powered up and through all these DMLs, right? So all that resistance that got broken should now turn into support like that, right? And the weekly probably is going to want to, push like this. And so therefore the daily trend run, this is how we connect it all. And I teach this in the course, we do everything logically, sequentially, right? Just what are the types of trading, right? They flow from one to the other. There's 5 of them. How do they connect the different time frames, the multiple time period analysis, the patterns, the dynamic market levels, all the dots you see, right? I mean, it works incredibly well once you start to understand what's going on and how to read everything. It's like a language, right? If you look at a foreign language that you don't speak, it's not going to make sense when you first look at it. You got to study it. You got to learn the language. Then the pieces start to come together. Vol Pro Edge is the same. So I would expect this daily trend run to continue to push higher. Just look for good levels of support on the Dow, and any pullback we do get, like that, should just be bought, for something like that, right? And, this is also like, for those of you who want to swing trade, pay attention to this. Go back and back test. Go look at all the analysis that I've, put up for you guys, and using the directional bias from the weekly and the monthly. Look, you don't have to be perfect nailing your entry on the daily. You can just say, like last week, we said the daily, was in congestion here. And what did we expect? Well, we expected the daily to exit congestion to the upside. Why? Because the weekly's bullish. We pulled back into this pocket. Monthly's bullish. We're expecting the Dow to catch up to ES and NQ, right? So then you can just, each day, just try and pick spots down here where you set orders and, put your stop way down here. And then you just hold it and hold it and hold it until you actually exit congestion, right? So there are so many different ways to use Vol Pro Edge. All right, the Russell, we called that in Thursday's day ahead analysis for Friday. I said there was the pullback pocket in the Russell. Expected a lot of support down in here, and we got it. I would have expected it probably to push higher, but still good support, push back up. So now the Russell is really lagging. I would expect, the way that I'm seeing the Russell right here on the monthly bar for July is it's up, it's kind of curling over a little bit, and then I would expect something like this, or even this, for you could see a big push on the Russell. Let's see what happens. I just, at this point, I think the Russell needs to catch up. So weekly trend run intact. You want to continue to look for opportunities from the long side. Let's look at the 10-year. We don't usually look at 10-year, but we'll do it. I think we talked about this last Saturday. We said there's a nice flash pattern there, guys. The flash pattern, this is really important. It's a nice Vol Pro Edge pattern, 3 sections, boom, 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 with the Vol Pro reaction support levels, which are these blue lines in sections. So we said coming into last week, the 10-year has a flash pattern, which means there should be support here, which means we should push higher. Well, we did. And that stability in the bond market is why you saw the stock market continue to push higher. So when you can start to match all these things up, you guys, it really, helps a lot. So what do we expect this week for the 10-year? Probably more chop. The weekly's in congestion, so nothing major. I think a stable bond market right now, and that's what stocks want to see. Here's the Ultra Bond. Same thing, just expect more chop. But we could be setting up, we'll see, for the end of July here, this monthly bar. You know, you've got a nice pocket here. This trend run down is really starting to stall out here, right? So you could see something like this or even something like this for August. And if that happens, right, that's going to be stability in the bond market. The stock market will probably like that, right? That would be bonds going up, rates dropping, stocks like that. So keep an eye on that. All right. That's the bond market. Let's look at gold. So gold, we talked about this midweek. Those of you who are not members, obviously you didn't have access to that video, but what we said, I said on gold, I wasn't really clear through this move up because, you know, we're trying to work all this out on the weekly and the monthly, but on the monthly, we do have a nice pocket resistance pattern. That's for sure. Right up in there. We talked about that since the beginning of the month. And so what we were waiting for here is when you got that big move down on big volume, that was your daily congestion entrance move to the downside. That's when I said, okay, guys, you know, start shorting gold. You've got nice follow through opportunity here because you tagged all these weekly extensions up here right around these old highs. That's a lot of resistance. I felt that we were then going to head back down here. Called that out to the members. I know a couple of you did take advantage of that. I didn't. Again, I don't trade really gold that often. I'm just busy making money on the NASDAQ, but that was a really good a call, and it worked. And so I would continue probably to expect gold to be under pressure and head back down here at least. We'll see where July closes. You know, it could be setting up a pocket for the next push higher in August. I'm not really sure. We'll just have to wait and see. But for now, I would expect the next week to at least want to try and test down in here. So let's keep an eye out for that. So you'd expect this daily trend run to the downside to continue, and any pullbacks, you know, if you're, let's say you get a pullback like that and the daily DMLs hold on close, well, that's where you got your pocket. Then you want to short that and have that continuation like that. So gold, I would recommend the short side. Silver, let's see, silver did start the week pushing higher like we thought it would, and then on that pullback there, that was pretty unexpected. I thought that pullback right there would lead us to push higher. We didn't. We got shellacked on big volume, and you know, silver's a tricky market. That can happen. That's pretty interesting right there. You've got a little bit of a flush there on pretty big volume, but you can see the extension here, pink dot, and the core. That's a zone of support. That zone held right on close. I mean, the weekly is still trending up nicely. You know, you're right into all of that. The question is, are we just going to open and push higher off that support, or are we going to go down here to back to 37? You know, silver can kind of do whatever it wants. So I'm going to wait and just let silver, you know, do what it needs to do. Let's look at copper. So copper, you know, we've been kind of not paying attention to copper because of that big, huge tariff move there. Or, you know, threats of tariffs by Trump. So now you've got a nice pocket here on the weekly. Could be some resistance. The daily's rolling over. The monthly, this could be a monthly exhaust. I mean, it's a pretty big push right there for a potential reversal back down on the monthly. Let's let copper close the month and let's see what we got shaking. There's platinum. Platinum has also just been on an absolute tear. Maybe platinum wants to go back. It's like, kind of looks like silver, right? So let's wait and let platinum. I know very few people trade these markets, so I'll cover them for you guys, but I don't need to spend that much time on them. So looking at crude, we'll just continue to keep an eye on crude oil here. So, all right, guys, my daughter, my 5-year-old came in and just had to tell me how much she loves Tom and Jerry. I said, that's great. I'm so happy about that. Can I please get back to work now? So crude, you know, we'll see where the bar here for July closes. But if it closes down in here into this pocket, anywhere down to this level, then you've got that middle of the envelope there, right? Where they swoop up. That's a key level. You've got these DMLs shaping up for August that'll fix when July closes. Boom. So then you could see, something like this for crude. We'll just have to wait and see. A little bit wacky right now. Let's wait. Natural gas. It's a bit of a flush on the weekly. Yeah, you broke the monthly there, but you're still in congestion here on the monthly. Let's just let natural gas do its thing. I don't really have a comment about it right now. Let's look at the euro. Kind of continue. We thought the euro would bounce. It did. And I expect it to continue to get strong. Let's look at Bitcoin and Ethereum. Sorry, guys. Every time I got to pause the video and take a sip of coffee or something, my pause button is behind one of my screens over there for my OBS recording software. So yeah, euro looks bullish. Let's go ahead and look at Bitcoin and Ethereum. Yep. Oh, yeah. I think that's a pretty nice buy opportunity right there on Bitcoin. The weekly consolidating back to the middle of the envelope. You got some nice DMLs here, dynamic market levels. I'd be looking for something like that. And then that would mean that the monthly maybe would close right up at its extension right there. So I'd be looking for something like that. And so therefore, the daily, you want to say, look, the daily's in congestion. What do you expect? Well, you expect daily congestion exit to the upside, right? So I'd be looking for something like this. I don't know if it'll go like that, or if it'll go like this and then like this and then like that, but we're looking for daily congestion exit up, right? Maybe I'll buy some Bitcoin this week. Not a large amount, just a little bit, a few $1,000, and just let it sit and say, hey, I think Bitcoin's going up. Let's see what happens, because I got to start putting on these types of picks, because Vol Pro Edge is just too good not to make money all over the place, because you can. So why not, right? Look at Ethereum. Nailed the catch-up game on Ethereum, my goodness. I mean, very bullish here. It's a little bit of a flash there. So sometimes you can get a move like that out of the flash, but I think this is going to be an opposite. And those of you who are members, you know what I'm talking about. If we start to get pushed back down, I think it's going to get gobbled up and then, race back up like this. That's what I would see. So, yeah. So the daily, it may want to fish a little bit lower down in here first. Let's keep an eye on that. So that's your analysis, everybody. I hope that helps. I'll post this on YouTube for everyone. Hope you enjoy it. And let me know if you got any questions. The announcements I was going to give was that I'm developing the stock system. So I'm still working on that. That's super exciting. I'm having a lot of fun with it, but I'm going slow because I'm researching that. I'm developing the algos with my programmer, and we're going to get to that. I mean, we've done a lot of work on them, but we wanted to get Vol Pro Edge done for TradingView, which is done, Sierra Charts done, and now NinjaTrader very close to being done this week. That's a big announcement. So then we'll have Vol Pro Edge available for the major charting platforms, which is awesome. And then we can move on to the algorithms. And then some other super exciting updates for Vol Pro Edge is, now that all the infrastructure is getting into place, we're going to start pushing it hard. We've had a good pre-launch. We've got quite a few members now. It's people are using it to make money. That was my big question. Hey, I know I developed this and I can use it to make money, but can I teach people to use it and make money? The answer is absolutely, definitively yes. So now we're going to be pushing it out to the broader public, and I'm going to be looking for some key people to help me do that. And there's going to be some crazy incentives. I may even offer, I don't know how to do it legally. I have talked to my attorney about that, but basically, incentive, different performance KPIs, key performance indicators, performance milestones, where if you're a part of Vol Pro Edge and you're making money off of it and you believe in it and you want to help me get it out there for people, then you may have a chance to be a part of the actual company. And believe me, Vol Pro Edge is gonna explode. The only reason right now it's kind of just being held down is by me. It's because I don't want to launch it out there until everything is, really ready to go, because I don't want to have, 500 people, asking me how to deal with tech issues with different platforms. I want to get all that squared away, which is what I've been working on with my programmer Jonas. So yeah, that's where we're at. I still haven't figured out how to structure that yet with, let's say, performance partners or brand ambassadors or whatever you want to call that. But I have gotten several private DMs from current VolPro Edge members, and I've let them know, like, hey, that's cool, you're thinking about that, I'm also thinking about that. And it's going to be a really, really exciting back half of 2025 for us here at VolPro Edge, in addition to just using VolPro Edge to make money every week, right? So I had a good week last week. Still waiting on Tradeify to make those accounts right. They said they're doing it now. They sent it to their developer team. They're working on it, so that's fantastic. I'll let you know when my balances get reset. I haven't traded those since. Top Step, I'm still waiting on one payout from 2 weeks ago that fell through the cracks. Reminded them this week, hey guys, where's that payout? It fell through the cracks. Oh yeah, it should be there Friday. Let us know if it's not. Didn't come. Let them know again. So I'm sure I'll get it. Top Step's great. They always pay. It's just sometimes stuff falls through the cracks. I don't know. I passed 50K take profits that I finally activated. I started with 50K on those just because I want to start with 50K and see how that goes with the trailing draw with Take Profit Trader. I've never traded them before, but passed those 50Ks on my second try. So, bought them for about $100 each and then reset them for $100 each. So I'm into those for $1,000, and I've got 5 times $2,000 in drawdown. So I've got, $10,000 in drawdown that I've accessed for $1,000. Granted, it is trailing draw, so that'll make it a little more difficult, but let's see if I can get some payouts going with Take Profit Trader. That'll be exciting. Yeah, just pretty much moving the ball down the field. That's all we can do, you guys. All right, have a good rest of your Sunday. Take care. And guys, if you're not having the success you want to have, ask yourselves, what were you doing at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. on your Sunday morning? Were you in front of a computer? Were you going over charts? Were you studying? Were you preparing for the upcoming week? Probably for most people, the answer is no. And then they wonder why they're not succeeding, because this is what it takes. So you get in, you get out of anything, especially trading in VolPro Edge. You get out what you put in. So put in as much as you possibly can. Don't let excuses from life get in the way. We all have bullshit we've got to deal with constantly, right? But the show must go on. And if you're driven and you're motivated and you want to succeed, you've got to put in the effort. It's super, super important. And that's what's great about VolPro Edge. You've got me, you got the community, you got the indicators, you got the course, you got everything you need. You got the mentorship, you got everything you need to succeed. So it's all right there for you. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.